Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something deeply relatable and honestly intensely frustrating. We're going to set the stage and totally dissect the hidden psychological mechanisms that keep us repeating the exact same unfulfilling routines day in and day out. If you've ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels while the clock is ticking away, well, you're in the right place. This analysis is going to illuminate exactly what's going on inside your mind.
Think about this for a second. What if the hardest part isn't wasting your life, but actually knowing that you are? It's a pretty heavy thought, right? Because, you sit there, you watch the years just slip by, and you absolutely know you're capable of so much more. You know exactly what you should be doing, you can picture it perfectly in your head, and yet every single day you wake up and just repeat the exact same routine. It's a maddening, almost suffocating experience to essentially be a spectator to your own stagnation.
But hey, I want you to take a deep breath and really internalize this. This isn't simply a lack of ambition. Seriously, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, let it be this. Psychology tells us that this is not about laziness, it's not some deep character flaw, it's really about your mind getting trapped in these quiet, invisible patterns that are literally designed to keep you exactly where you are right now.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The paradox of feeling stuck. So why on earth would we actively choose to stay in a reality we don't even like? Well, it all boils down to this internal tug of war. Familiar misery versus unknown happiness. You see, the human brain is hardwired for survival, and to your brain, survival means predictability. It values familiarity way, way more than it values happiness. Kind of crazy to think about, right? Even if your current life feels super disappointing, it's predictable, and to your nervous system, predictable means safe. On the flip side, the unknown, even if it's an amazing, happy unknown, just feels incredibly risky and frightening. So psychologically speaking, a lot of us stay locked in situations we despise simply because the absolute certainty of that misery feels far less scary than the sheer chaos of change.
And that brings us right into the hidden identity trap. We often think we're just afraid of failure, and a lot of the time, we're actually terrified of becoming someone unfamiliar. Success isn't just about getting what you want. It fundamentally alters your everyday routines, it changes your relationships, and it totally shifts your expectations. It literally rewrites your identity. And because of this, even positive change can light up your brain's threat radar. Your mind genuinely prefers a familiar identity over an uncertain one, even if that familiar identity is the version of you eating ice cream on the couch at 2 a.m. instead of hitting the gym. You're actively protecting a self you don't even want to be anymore, just because you know exactly how to be them.
Section 2. The illusion of endless time.
We've talked about how we protect our current identity, but now we've got to look at how our brain processes the future. There's this wild concept called the future self disconnect. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that research actually shows the brain treats our future self almost like a completely different person, like a total stranger. And this explains so much about our daily habits. Sacrificing today's comfort for tomorrow's benefit feels incredibly hard because deep down, those future consequences just don't feel emotionally immediate to us. So today's choices keep winning out, over and over, even when they're slowly, methodically damaging the life we'll have tomorrow.
And because of that disconnect, we fall victim to this creeping timeline. Notice how this slowly progresses. You have one wasted day. Nothing catastrophic happens, right? The brain assumes everything is totally fine. Then you have one wasted week. Still, no immediate sirens going off. Over time, the sheer absence of any immediate, tangible consequences creates a very, very dangerous psychological illusion. Your brain essentially convinces you that there's always more time, always tomorrow, always next week, until suddenly years have just vanished. The panic and urgency only ever seem to arrive when the time is already long gone.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our next concept. Section 3, the self-awareness trap.
This one is perhaps the most deceptive pattern of all, the trap where we confuse simply thinking about a problem with actually solving it. So the crucial point is the difference between understanding yourself, which is insight, versus changing yourself, which is behavior. We live in this era where literally everyone is hyperanalyzing themselves. You might know every single one of your weaknesses, every bad habit you have, every mistake you tend to make. And because you're so aware of these things, it gives you the illusion that you're actually making progress. But psychology clearly shows that insight alone rarely changes behavior. Understanding yourself and fundamentally changing yourself are two completely different beasts. You can't just outthink a behavioral loop, right? You literally have to act your way out of it.
I want you to really absorb this quote from our source material. The greatest trap isn't wasting your life, it's becoming so familiar with wasting it that it starts feeling normal. Man, that is the chilling reality of psychological adaptation. Your brain can adapt to almost anything, even to these quiet patterns that just slowly steal your years away. And the longer a habit, even a totally destructive, time-wasting one, becomes a part of your daily identity, the harder it feels to even imagine living any differently. Familiarity is quite literally the glue that keeps you stuck.
Section 4. Taking back your future.
But here's the absolute best news. You do not have to stay stuck. Understanding these patterns gives you the actual power and control to break them. And this brilliantly illustrates our next point, which centers around the number 5. Why 5? Well, because your mind doesn't just shape the reality you're living in today. It is quietly, meticulously building the exact life you're going to have 5 years from now. The familiar misery you might be accepting today, that disconnect from your future self, the total illusion of progress just through self-awareness, all of these hidden psychological mechanisms are actively constructing your reality 5 years down the line.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, absolutely critical question. What will you do with your newfound awareness to change the life you'll have 5 years from now? You now know that just knowing isn't enough. You know that familiarity is a trap. And let's face it, the years are going to pass regardless. Are you going to let your brain pull you right back into the comfortable known, or are you ready to embrace the risky, frightening, but ultimately amazing unknown? The choice, and the actual behavior that has to follow it, is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.